friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and I've got my very special friend Dewey the Library Dragon with me today. That was made for me by one of my wonderful patron families, and we've got a very special video for you today. So as you know, if you've been watching these videos for a while, welcome back. If you're just starting to watch these videos, welcome. Usually around this time of year, so we've got Thanksgiving this week, right? I always really love to do a video talking about some of the literary things that I am thankful for, whether that be a specific genre, a specific book series, a specific author, because this is the time of year where we like to think about some of the things that we are grateful for, right? And I know we always immediately think of like friends and family and health and all that great stuff. But I always like to also consider some of the literary stuff that I'm thankful for, because there is so much of it, right? So this year, what I wanted to actually talk about was something that I'm very thankful for, which is kind of specific, but it is YA books that came out in the early 2000s. Now, the reason I want to talk about that specifically is because I'm a teen librarian. Those are the books that got me really into young adult literature. They're the books that I was reading when they were coming out and they were super popular. So Twilight, right? We all know Twilight, for better or for worse. It's 20 years old this year. Wow, that makes me feel old. So I wanted to reread some of these series that were just as popular back then when Twilight was really big, and to sort of think about what they mean to me, why I loved them so much then, and if they hold up now. Because a couple of them I haven't read since the very first time, and maybe they don't hold up. Maybe they do. We will talk about Twilight a little bit at the end as a retrospective, because I did reread it again, and I have some thoughts about it. So what I am most thankful for in terms of literary stuff this year when it comes to YA books, it is those books that were really popular in the early 2000s, like 2005 to 2010, that really helped shape the way that the YA trends progressed after that. Specifically ones that are sort of similar to Twilight, right? So we had lots of other genres like dystopian, we had Divergent and the Hunger Games and things like that. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just specifically talking about romance, paranormal romance, things with supernatural creatures, stuff like that. Okay, so first one I want to talk about is Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. This is actually the collector's edition of the book, which I purchased to reread. It's got some feathers there, which is kind of fun. This book originally came out in 2009, and I read it not very long after that when it came out. This was a book that was in a sort of subgenre of the YA literature that had to deal with angels and falling angels, which is not really a thing that you see a lot of now. I haven't really seen any new books like that come out in a while, but back in the day, back in the early 2000s, this was a thing. This was a thing about like star-crossed lovers, forbidden love, usually taking place between a human and a fallen angel, or an angel of some kind. And this is the first one I read of that type of book. So this book features our main character, Nora, who meets this boy named Patch. Love that name. Love it. And Patch is a bad boy. He gets into fights a lot. He earns money by winning pool games like downtown where it's really dangerous. He does all kinds of really crazy things to get a lot of attention and also to cause trouble. Well, he seems to be sort of fixated on Nora, and her friend V cannot figure out why. He seems like he might even be stalking her a little bit, which is kind of confusing to her, but she is still very much drawn to him. Well, when accidents and things start happening, not only around Nora, but around the people that she loves, she realizes that Patch may be a part of all of this, and she needs to investigate him further. What is he really doing? What is his past? Because he transferred here, he's got this mysterious past. She needs to investigate that. I ate this up when I first read it way back in the day. I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was so fun. Like I said, it was the first one I read in that subgenre of fallen angels and the whole like mythology of that and the romance of that. And I just thought it was really cool. It was something I hadn't thought of, before then. And I haven't really thought of it really since then either. When I went back and reread this a couple months ago, I was like, oh yeah, I remember when that was a big thing. So does this one hold up? Yes and no. I think if you are looking for a Twilight read-alike, it definitely is. Some of the dialogue is a little bit dated. Some of it might sound a little bit cringy. I didn't think it was too bad. I do think that some of the stalkery elements that were like a very big thing in a lot of these early YA books is a little bit problematic. But if you go into it knowing that, hey, stalking's bad and that's actually creepy, I think you'll be fine. I did think the mystery behind Patch was really interesting, especially, like I said, if you're interested in reading about a subgenre, the whole fallen angel, Nephilim subgenre that was really popular back then, and if you're into that kind of thing, I think you will like this. There's a lot of fun things here. This is a book that, as long as you don't take it too seriously, there is a lot to enjoy here, and it definitely still has the whole, star-crossed lovers, like forbidden love, teensy little bit of a love triangle in the very beginning. It gets squashed pretty quickly though. So yeah, I would say this is a solid choice. It's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. I like this quite a bit on my reread. Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is Beautiful Creatures, and this is by Garcia and Margaret Stoll. Beautiful Creatures. It is interesting to note that with the previous book series, Becca Fitzpatrick, that's the only series, as far as I know, that she's written. That was it. She's a one and done. Never came back and wrote anything else. Garcia and Margaret Stoll have both written other things outside of this series. I don't know that I've actually read anything else by them, but they do still write, or they have written since this series. So Beautiful Creatures was a book series that came out also in 2009. And it is I believe 4 or 5 books in the series, and it was unique in a few different ways. So the first thing I want to say is it's a chunkster, right? It's well over 500 pages, which for a YA book is not out of the realm of possibility, but it's not also like, usually YA books 300 to 400 pages ish, well over 500 pages. The other unique thing about this book that I forgot about is that it's actually told through the point of view of the male protagonist, Ethan, which for this genre of book was not super, it didn't happen a whole lot back then. Unless it was like a dystopian book or action or whatever, usually paranormal romance books like this usually were told from the point of view of the female main character. So I was pleasantly surprised when I first read it, and then when I reread it again and remembered that Ethan, the main character, is our protagonist, and that's who we're seeing this book through. So this takes place in Gatlin, which is in the South. And if you are a fan of like Gothic, Southern, like architecture and the surroundings and the descriptions of everything, you're going to love this book. This book is soaked in Southern Gothic atmosphere. And that is one of the really big charms of this book. So Ethan is our protagonist. He cannot wait till he graduates high school so he can get out of this little town that he is just so done with. Ever since his mother died, his dad has been really checked out. And he just doesn't feel like he fits in. And then of course we get a new girl, right? All of these stories always start with a new kid in school, and they are mysterious, and the main character is drawn to them, right? And that's much the way here. So Lena is new. All these kind of accidents start to happen around her. Her family has moved into this infamous plantation in the town, and all kinds of spooky stuff starts happening. These little like weird occurrences, like for example, like all the lights going out in the room that she's in, or glass breaking or such like that. And people start to say she's a witch and that her family is cursed. Well, the thing that's very interesting is that Ethan has been dreaming about Lena before he even knew her. He had been dreaming about her and hearing her voice, and so when she showed up the first day of school, he was like, oh my God, this is the girl that I've been hearing in my dreams. This is the girl that I've been, so he has to try to solve the mystery of that. There is something very curse related going on with the family and with the town, that when Ethan and Lena grow closer in friendship and otherwise, they have to try to figure it out before it's too late. I remember loving this book so much when I first read it back in the day. And when I read it again, I was very scared that it was not going to hold up, you know, because sometimes books don't. And I'm very excited to say that this book really, really did. It held up. This book is solid. It's a solid read for now, 2025. I absolutely loved it. I thought the dialogue was really great. Teeny bit outdated, but not anywhere in the same realm as like Hush Hush was. And it's not too bad. I feel like if you were to read it now and not know that it was written way back in 2009, that you would probably not be thrown off too much. The characters were really well written. There's a lot of really interesting stuff that goes on in this book. I think this is a solid reread. And yeah, it is very sort of similar to Twilight in that whole forbidden romance, you know, cursed family sort of thing. If you're looking for a good book that is sort of similar in theme and tone to that, but with a very interesting swap of the main character being the guy, I think this is a really great one. I'm kind of looking forward to actually going back and rereading the rest of the books in the series, honestly. This is Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia. Okay, so last but not least, Twilight. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Twilight. So I have to admit that I have always loved Twilight, okay? I know what you're gonna say. Don't hate on me. But you know what? I loved this book when it first came out. I just thought it was so much fun. And yes, of course, reading it now as a much older person, 100% yes, it's problematic. You know, some of the writing is problematic, some of the behavior of Edward, like again, we've got the stalking thing, which I'm pretty sure Twilight was the series that like set the bar for that, or like, oh, stalking is hot. And we see it in a lot of young adult books after that. No, stalking is not hot. Don't even come at me with that. So yes, there are lots of things about this book that are, the whole series, that are very problematic. But is it still enjoyable? Is it still fun? Absolutely it is. There's a reason why this series is still so popular 20 years later. I just reread it again. It's not my second reread. I read this book every couple of years, I'm not gonna lie. I go through the whole series and read it again, because there's just something about it, right? I like to equate books like this to like a really good, like, maybe not fast food dinner, but like something that you don't want to eat all the time, but it still tastes really good every once in a while, right? Like a nice juicy cheeseburger and fries, right? If you ate it every day, you would get sick and it would just not be good for you. But every once in a while, it's just so good to indulge. So does this book hold up? Yes and no. Same thing with some of the other ones. The dialogue, outdated, absolutely. This one came out in 2005. So yeah, some of the dialogue is kind of weird to go back to, especially if you're reading it now as an older person. Some of Edward's behavior is a little cringy. The stalking, the disabling her car, the watching her while she sleeps thing. Yeah, it's all a little bit sus, but if you take it for what it is and you really just look at it as something that was an absolute hit that sparked so many other fantastic series and got a whole generation of people reading, yeah, it's fantastic. And I just love it. I love it every time I read it. I can read it and still be critical of it and realize that there are things about it that are just not great. But that doesn't mean I love it any less. You can still be critical of something and absolutely still love it, right? And I do. I love this series so much. I think that it's really fun to revisit, for sure. And I'm very thankful for it, for sparking so many other series that are like it, for getting me and so many other people reading YA, and for being such a fun series that has lasted 20 years. And I still have teens come in all the time asking to read it, so you know that it's still really popular. Twilight. So those are some of the things this year that I'm particularly thankful for, especially within the literary sphere. I'm thankful for YA books in general. I'm thankful for these books that came out in the early 2000s that got me interested in reading YA, that got so many people who are maybe reluctant readers or not readers at all to start reading. That is an amazing thing. You can love these books or hate these books, but you have to really just still acknowledge the impact that they made. And it was huge. It absolutely was. So I'm thankful for all that. I'm thankful for you for watching. Thank you so very much. I hope you have a wonderful holiday weekend, and I will see you later.